what creates an artist? Like most people, if they had artistic talent in some way, shape, or form, they'd probably want to do that because it's a fun thing to do. There's something exciting about creating things. But where does that come from? Is that in all of us, but it's just discouraged so hard in some people and through this sort of rigid adherence to whatever is in control, whatever power structure, whatever authority figure? Does that squash it in so many people that only a few of tortured childhoods get out? And maybe we associate creativity and we associate brilliant art with people with tortured childhoods for all the wrong reasons.
Did you ever hear that? I've always loved this quote so much, but someone asked Jerry Seinfeld, or they were like, when you were a kid, were you like the funny one in your group of friends? And he went, we were all funny, and then everyone else got jobs.
Wow.
You know? And it's kind of like that. Like, there is something to that, man. Like, what do you mean? We were all hilarious.
Yeah.
I just kept being hilarious.
Yeah.
They all decided to stop at some point. I'm like, I don't think everyone, could be an artist. There are some people who are wired for, like, different things. There are some people who are like this dude's a chemist, or this dude's like a computer programmer, and he was made to be that. Like he had like a real propensity toward that. But I think there's no question a lot of people have that squashed. A lot of people, I've known people like that who are
Those are the most bitter people. They're the most bitter people.
It's sad. There's something tragic about that.
You know, the guys that wanted to be in a band, but it just didn't work out.
Or just didn't have the balls to like go for it, and then got a job, and then had a family. Well, now you got a family, you can't leave this job now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's something so tragic about that, man.
It's weird. You know, it's a sad person to be around. Someone who they didn't chase their dream, or they didn't have the encouragement, or they didn't have the confidence. They didn't have the circumstances. They had bad circumstances that befell them.
Yeah. Well, if you're like young and you're listening to this, like, keep that in mind. I remember Jordan Peterson said once, I think it might have been on with you. I can't remember, maybe it wasn't, but he said something about, like, you know, there's people who are like in a job that they hate, or in a career that they hate, and they'll think about, like, well, I can't leave and pursue something else, because what about all the risks of doing that? Yeah. And you're like, yeah, what about the risks of not? Yeah. What about the risks of doing something that makes you miserable for the rest of your life? Yeah. Because that seems like a risk worth considering, you know?
I was really lucky in having no stability when I was young, which doesn't make sense if you think about it, because you want to provide your children with as much stability as possible. But I was really lucky that I didn't, because I didn't believe in, like, normal systems. Like, I didn't believe in them. They seemed alien to me. Like, the idea of getting a job in an office was, like, so crazy, I never even considered it. I've never had an office job ever. Even when I had other jobs, I took these weird alternative jobs. Like, I did construction, or I drove limos. I did stuff that, like, anybody could do. Like, there's no barrier to entry. Like, it was... working in an office to me seemed like madness. Like, to sit in, I for sure have ADHD or whatever the fuck it is, but it works for regular life. Like, if you have just a life you enjoy, it's actually beneficial. But this idea of sitting and doing a job all day that I was completely unemotionally attached to, not creatively attached to, I couldn't do it. But if I had to do some stuff for money that I knew was temporary, I could do that. That's easy. Deliver newspapers, fine. That's just stuff I'm doing.
And you do
for
something
money.
Kind of physical, where you're like doing something. It's
just
a little
fine.
bit of a
doing
different
something
thing
for money. It's not a job.
Right.
I'm not going to move my way up the corporate ladder. Are you fucking crazy? Like, it was so impossible for me. I was just programmed so different.
No, I'm well aware of it in myself too, where there'll be things sometimes that, like, something like, even like shopping, like clothes shopping or something like that, if it's like going slow, I'm like, I've never been so miserable in my entire life. I don't know why this is so excruciatingly painful. I have no interest. I don't freaking care.
You're so
let's
bored.
go. I'm so bored.
So bored.
But if I'm doing the things that I'm passionate about, I could focus on that forever, like limitlessly, you know?
That's where marijuana comes in. Because marijuana and shopping, it's a totally different experience. Then you're just having fun, you're relaxed, and just walking around. You could walk around with the slowest shopper ever and just make fun of everything that happens.
Well,